Wilson's 37. And if he's keeping Dale Fry, I was the last couple of weeks, then he should be gone. Dale Fry should leave. If I was his pal, I'd be saying that. Dale Fry must be thinking, hold on, 37-year-old. I'm a fairly young, vibrant kid in comparison, and I can't get in there. Talk crap, Bernie. Keith Williams. Evening, Bernie. I hope you had a look at that thing about the director of football. I messaged you, however. This is from Mark Watts. I personally don't think there will be a change, even though everybody wants it, unless we get Pearson. This team, we are heading one way backwards. As I said before, nobody in the team, maybe except Hackney, has been approved by Carrick. Finances are an issue. I would expect these are worrying times for the future. You might be right. Nothing will change. But me personally, I think it will. And I don't know. And I'm not wishing change. I'm just using my gut and my experience and my longevity in the game, talking about it and playing it. There's been greater coaches and managers than Michael Carrick. Got sacked at Middlesbrough over the years. Was Southgate fourth when he gets sacked? So I don't see where the loyalty. There's no loyalty in football. There's no loyalty in the game. People come and go in a flash. As I say, Tony Mowbray, my old mate Mugger, 12 games at West Brom. See you later. They turn in. The last time I looked at their result was they were 1-4. Keep the same, but it's the same voice, same rhetoric, different players. But Michael Carrick can't change his personality or his lack of it, and I don't mean that in a condescending way. Michael Carrick, look, as far as I know guys that know him, he's a lovely guy, he's a nice guy. But I watch him in front of cameras, I think, me now, I'd be raging. I've got a filter, so I would know when to pull back, but I'd come out with a real passion. But Michael Carrick's a cool guy. Wenger was a cool guy at the Arsenal. But me personally, I don't like guys like that. Doesn't get me going, doesn't get me generated and up for it. I watch it and think, so watching some of the games, some of the passing, boring. It's excitement. And some players feed off of that. It takes time to build a good team. Carrick needs more time. He doesn't have a huge budget. Arthur Bainbridge. No, I get that, Arthur. I get that. But he will carry the can. Well, Mowbray carried the can. He didn't get much time. Michael Carrick's 2.5 year, going on 3 years. You're saying not enough time. Tony Mowbray goes to West Brom, signs a 2.5 year contract, sacked after 12 games. Where's the time there? You don't get time. In football, you don't get time. And fans dictate as well what goes on. The fans have showed they're disturbed and unhappy with the brand and style of football this season, the constant passing at the back, boring the pants off the public, who pay a lot of money for excitement. And Carrick gave us excitement 2.5 years ago. But that's in the past. The future. What's the future? And you can't build. We're still building foundations on sand at our club. Why is it sand? Because we bring loan players in, they're off. Players' contracts run down, they're off. Players not good enough, they're off. Players that turn it on 6 months in, like Rodgers, see you later, we sell them. Or a 1.5 years in, 2 years later. So we're building in sand. So you cannot time to build a good team. You can't build a good team if you're selling your best players every year or every 6 months. You cannot build. It's impossible. Mohammed says, I really hope Peter Kenyon comes in and helps out Gibson. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of Kenyon. Kenyon's a chief executive who was at Chelsea. The thing, he was here before. I don't know him personally, but I just don't like the guy. I look at him and I think, no personality, but maybe that's a chief executive thing, because I've not met many chief executives with personality. Maybe that's what they are. Dour, ruthless, hard-nosed businessmen. They've no character, no personality. Maybe that's what it is. But Kenyon, what put me off with Kenyon, Chelsea did they beat Man United? Was it European final? Or vice versa, it was Man United beat Chelsea. And I remember Kenyon getting up and receiving a medal. I thought, a chief exec going on the podium, up into the stands, up into the gods, getting a medal around his neck. What did he do to get the medal? Chief executive. Anyway, that's my gripe with him, so I don't like him either. Bernie Carrick has already told BBC Tees, that's the thing they're in bed with, at the end of the game, that he's staying on for next season and he thinks we are building something positive. What do you think? Well, I think it's absolute bollocks. Bollocks. The BBC's in bed with the club's in bed with them. Neither's going to disrupt each other. If the BBC disrupt Carrick and the club, or the club, they'll get the tin tack and they'll lose the licence that they've had for 100 years since me and Ali lost it. The best commentary team around, BBC nicked in, paid it with your money to get in there, and did it ever since. So Carrick saying, right after today's game, do you know, I thought it was more, I thought that after the game they could announce that Carrick's gone. That would have been more. Don't forget they sacked Gareth Southgate on a Wednesday night at the Riverside. I was at the press conference. I see, and we'd won, and I think we were fourth in the table. We just behind, up near the top. And I remember Gareth saying his bit, and afterwards, the next day, Gareth had gone, puff of smoke. Hey, I've heard things like this for years. Managers not going, coaches are getting sacked. Gordon Strachan says Adam Johnson at the time, dare I say it, he's not going anywhere before the January window's ready to close. Going nowhere, sold the next day. It's tosh. Hi Bernie, awful performance yet again. A while ago I saw your interview with Mike Peters here. I'm going to talk about. I heard earlier in the week he passed away. Got the better of him. I saw the laminated too. So Steve Horn, I just want to switch it to football. Look, football's important to a lot of us, but life's more important. And what Steve, I was going to mention at the end of this, Mike Peters was the lead singer for The Alarm. 68 Guns was one of the biggest hits he had. I got to know Mike. I met him at Old Trafford along with Pallister, Brian Robson in the box, and I was told the lad was coming. I'd never met him. Anyway, met him, had a great discussion. We missed half the European game we were watching. I can't even remember the opposition. I was more intrigued with, you know, his history and his music, and he was a passionate guy and a great guy and an inspiration to anybody who's struggling with their health. He fought in battle for 30 years and tragically passed away this week. It's been well documented, but he was a true. He was gifted, lyricist, sing, lovely guy, lovely human being. I met him in Glasgow. I did a podcast. I'm going to play in Tobias' podcast this Monday. It's the last one for, obviously the season's over now. This is the last one of these. And the podcast, I'm going to play a chat I did with Mike Peters in Glasgow. So, yeah, as a tribute, because he was a great human being. I've never met anybody say a bad word about him. He was engaging, he was charming, just a lovely guy. So, God rest him, and condolences to his family. Back on the football. Pete the Bricky, hi Pete. Hi Bernie. Gallant second half effort. League table doesn't lie. Finishing 10th. That is as good as we are. We're just an average side. Hope to see you next season. See you next season, Peter. Yeah, well, as I say, second half we perked up, but is that because the pressure's off? We're 1-0 done. We have to score 2. We know in our heads that we're unlikely to score 2. Is it one of them? And then Carrick's throwing everybody on the kitchen sink, throwing the kitchen sink at them. It's caution to the wind. It was like McLaren in the UEFA Cup games. Getting done, hammered, ridiculed, everybody's having a go, and then caution to the wind, tactics go out the window, get everybody on, and McLaren turned it round on 2 occasions. Carrick thought maybe he'll ruffle feathers and turn it round, but to no avail. I think next season, when we lose Hackney, etc., and we're left with even more drizzle, we will be fighting to stay in the Championship. Carrick carrying a camp for Steve Gibson mistakes this season. As I say, collectively, it's 5, 6, 7 people. I've named them all. Chairman, chief exec, director of football, coaching staff, players, sports scientists. All carry the can. Nobody escapes criticism. They're all in the mix. He can say what he wants. Gibson surely sacks him. Mohammed, as I say, Carrick could say, well, if Carrick's been told that's fine, but do I believe that? No, I don't. I still think that he'll get the chop. Yeah, it's not all been Carrick's fault, but Carrick, I have to say, Carrick playing international the last game before today's, I found ridiculous. I had a Bazog. Ian Ashall didn't get it. The constant square passing, blowing the pants off the public, didn't get it. That's Michael Carrick's responsibility. He picks a team, and he was picking Ian Ashall over Bazog, and he dropped Bazog when he was on fire a month or two ago. And this constant fanning about the back, it was just deplorable. It was embarrassing. Who's going to take responsibility for it, Bernie? If you look at the squad in Carrick's first season to now, this is for Richard Pearson, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to fathom out. I think that's what he's been given to work with just the edge at the playoffs. With a 15-goal striker, we'd have been in the playoffs. Yeah, but we've got one striker in Conway. Listen, last season, he's not Houdini. The problem's a lot deeper than that. The manager stroke coach, he's not a manager, he's a coach. So Carrick goes, a new manager comes in, new coach comes in. It will be eat, sleep, repeat, unfortunately. Well, Richard, unfortunately, that's the game now. Yeah, you're right, I agree. The days of Wilder and Warnock, I keep saying this, but when they were in here, the director of football's telling them, guys that's played 1,000 games, managed 1,000 games, a guy that's never played, telling them who you're bringing in, who you're letting go. I'm not surprised Warnock and Wilder went in a flash, and Wilder's in the playoffs. We're not. And by the way, my mate mentioned it today, Conway. Bristol's made the playoffs, haven't they? I wonder what Conway's thinking. He left them, came here, and his ex-team obviously has not missed them because they're in the playoffs, and we're not. That was my mate's words, not mine. I'm just repeating what he told me. I can hear on Facebook, well, I hope you can, Catherine, get rid of Woodgate, bring someone in to work with Carrick. Carrick has been let down massively by the club. Can't put the blame in Carrick. Losing ranks was a massive loss. So, what about when Wilder and Warnock get sacked? Who do you blame for that? They never brought the players in. I didn't see many people defending them. These are responsible. They're responsible for making the playoffs next season. Will be the same almost, but so far away. Does Carrick have what it takes at Borough? I reckon he will make a really good coach, manager, but I don't think it worked for him. So Steve's saying that. Steve Gibson will make a decision. He will. Until Steve Gibson comes out and says that. You don't believe anybody. Thanks, Bernie, for bringing us great live stream. Thank you, Dan, for tuning in. Rubbish FA Cup run, rubbish league run, cup run, rubbish championship campaign. Need a top overall. That's for Steve. Is it 1980? Well, that's the thing I says. You know, you rewind these. I'm sure you can dig them up and just if you want. If you want, you're bored. I kept saying knocked out the cup. And the blinkered, sycophantic Borough fan, yeah, knocked out the cup, concentrating league. It's a load of bullshit. That's what it is. Knocked out the cup doesn't help our league performances whatsoever. If anything, it hinders us. Really bad decisions made by Carrick time and time again. Sorry, but Carrick and Scott must go. As I say, I'm not blaming one person. I'm blaming the consortium of people who all put their tuppence worth into the hat, and some of them get away scot-free. I'm not having a thing with Kieran Scott. But if Scott and Carrick were to leave the post today, I wouldn't be surprised. We've let better people than them go. How many clubs would show Carrick the door? The disaster season we had. Oh. Carrick, somebody says to me today, Michael Carrick, when the boos were ringing around the ground 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, whatever, and there were loads of people on social network, easy to criticise, saying, get him out. We could have possibly made the playoffs with a change. But it's all our spots and maybes, you never know that. Sell Dale Fry first out. Oh, Dale Fry, without a doubt. If I was his pal, his agent, his dad, his advisor, I'd be saying, listen, you have to go. You've been here too long. You're stale. There's guys at 37 getting in ahead of you. Go. Make a career and aim somewhere else. It's easy sitting in your doorstep. Hope Borough can sign Travers. Travers won't be staying here. Bournemouth will sell him. We've given him the platform, the shop window. He's grabbed it with both hands, proves he's a good goalkeeper, and he'll be going somewhere else. Barely too many players were sold under Carrick's feet. The players just didn't stand up for the challenge up the Borough forever. Well, Stephen, this is where Michael Carrick signed a new contract. And I says on here, before January window approached, I hope Carrick, when he signed his new contract, says to the chairman and chief exec, promise me one thing before I sign. Promise me, if we're in that top 6, come January, you will not sell a player. If we're in the top 6. If we're not, fine. That for me, that's what I would have did if I was in Carrick's shoes. I'd have said, give me a promise, or give it in writing, you will not sell any players January. After seeing Rodgers the following season, you think, they'll do it again. They're businessmen. I don't blame Steve Gibson for selling. But if I'm a coach, it's not good for my CV, it's not good for me, or the confidence of the team. It deflates the team. That's got a when you sell a top centre forward like that, it affects the whole team. And the whole team will be questioning it, talking behind the scenes, talking in the bus trips or plane trips as they get these days, thinking, where are we going? We've just sold the top scorer, the best forward we've got. Why are we selling him? Where's the ambition? Where's the drive? Where's the intent? It drains everybody. So, yeah, selling your top players disturbs the players, the remaining players. Matt Scott says we finished 7th under Pulis with a lesser team. We did. Carrick has to go, but Gibson also hasn't backed the team and selling like he laugh halfway through. Surely he budgeted before the start of the season, Bernie. Well, I don't know that, Matt, but you would surmise that Steve Gibson's a businessman, and I'm sure he does things right. That's why he's been in the game for so long. That's why the club's not been in jeopardy financially, because Gibson knows how to look after money. And as I keep saying, Steve Gibson went through the trials and tribulations when I came to Middlesbrough. Relegation, liquidation, bankruptcy. He's seen that firsthand as a young director. It's his club now, he's ownership. And he doesn't want that to happen again. So when he sells players, I totally get it. But as a fan and as a team and for Carrick, it's disturbing. Bernie, YouTube has no sound. No, I think it's your sound now, isn't it? Gel should be on. Well, if you can't hear me, read my lips. Go into this. Madhouse Southgate gets sacked when we were sitting. That's his fault. Setting the league, but the crowds were down. The crowds will be down next season. Wonder whether he would sack him. Sack him then. Steve Gibson's the man to sack. I'm not here to dissuade about sacking coaches. I'm only giving my gut what I think. I think Carrick will get sacked. I says it months ago if he didn't finish top 6. I think the remit was for sure to finish top 6. And we failed. Yeah, there's loads of reasons, but if you don't make top 6, you need a bit of luck as well. Excuse me, we've not had luck with injuries. I hope decisions are made straight away and not just before the season kicks off. Graham, yeah, I think it's better to, if it's going to happen, you might as well do it now. And then, hey, businessmen tap up people left, right and centre way before the event. Don't think it happens overnight. I'm talking over the board here, I'm not talking about Middlesbrough, over the board. They're all talking emails, social network, private message, everybody's number of any quality or standard. Robert Cooper says 3 seasons now, each season lower finish, lower points. We are regressing. Change is badly needed. It's well known that after Watford, Gibson was going to pull the trigger, but House and Dick Steele were 2 of the senior pros who went to Gibson and asked him not to sack Carrick and said they were to play him. Cooper has to be target to take over. Robert Cooper, you know them more than me, Robert. Might be tittle-tattle, maybe you know more than myself and the outsiders, but Steve Gibson is loyal. It's his club, self-made millionaire, borough lad, one of the few chairmen in football that knows about the game. And he's loyal, but he's ruthless. So I'm sure he's got the gun in his hand at the minute. I don't think it's in the draw now, I think it's in his hand. And he was there today, camera panned in, he was looking fairly annoyed. That was the first half. A Sunday League team would have played better than the Borough. That's for Jacob Pinkster. Jonathan Quain, bin my ticket, Bernie. Hardwick Bar was £700 5 years ago. Now £1,420 for a crap meal and the pleasure of paying £6 a pint. Wow. Another increase of 6% was taking the proverbial. Can't see him getting 20,000 at home next season. Sorry to hear that, Jonathan. You know, Jonathan saying the prices and most people, places. If you buy a bit of wood now, I bought a wee bit of work getting done, go and buy wood. It used to be a tenner, it's now like 30 quid, and you think, well, everything's going up, but let's hopefully you can get back in the groove and get back supporting your team, Jonathan. I'm not saying you're not supporting, but being there, I mean. Listen, from Capri in Italy, absolutely gutted. I'm sorry, Carrick has to, oh, I'm sorry, Carrick has to go. So Lawrence, enjoy Capri. I've been in Capri. I was in Sorrento several years back. Went over to Capri, which is an island. Some of the big movie stars used to live there. Lovely place, very scenic. Sat in Spain. What is this? We're travelling around Europe now. Vicky Andrew says, sat in Spain, unfortunately got my timings wrong for the match today. Turned up at the Boozer and it was just finished. Thank God I missed it. Average season, average ambition. Sorry, I love Borough, but it's been a hard watch these last few months. So Vicky sitting in Spain, sun up, having a few drinks and disappointed. Brian Horrigan says, no heart or fight for the badge. That's with Brian. Jeffrey Wood says, a frightening summer ahead. If they stay the same, Dick Steelenhausen will go free. Hackney, Rav and Azaz, they're likely to be sold. That's what Jeffrey, as I say. Callum says, what do you think we'll get for Hackney? 20 million. Porto are in from, well, it's tittle-tattle. Do I believe Porto's in from? Probably not. Will we sell him if the money's right? Without a doubt. What is he worth? 15 million. The thing about Hackney get Player of the Year. Well done, Aidan Hackney. 5 goals. I don't think that's enough goals. Defensively, we've conceded loads of goals, and Hackney and Morris in the middle play a part in that as well. Not every goal's down the flank, you through the middle, and they're meant to be defensive midfielders as well. But Hackney wasn't even in my thinking or reckoning for the Player of the Season. And then when I seen Conway getting Young Player of the Year, I thought, he's older than Hackney. How does that work? And somebody tell me, will you look it up while we're on here? How many games did Conway play this season? He scored 1 more goal than Azaz, I think. Azaz was my Player of the Season. Azaz, the first 11 games, never scored a goal. And I was having a go at him, thinking, 11 games, you've not scored a goal. You're having a nightmare. Then he turned it around, he did a little patch. He ended up with 10, 11 or 12 goals. He made as many goals. He was productive. Today, he was the best player for me. Outfield player, the kit was the best, Travers. But he had 3, 4 good efforts. Or one he should have scored, but the other couple was one, I think, clipped to post, one was saved. So Azaz for me was Player of the Year. Latty Laugh was up there. And Doak. But I don't know who votes him, but, well, it's a club that votes him, or teammates, but if you're a local line, you've got more mates. I don't know. In my day, you had, as I say, you had to play 50 games and score 25, 30 goals to get Player of the Year. These days, they'll just hand them out. Like confetti. Carrick is still convinced he's got a strong squad. We have no hard men. Definitely no hard men. Striker who can bag 20 a season, we've not got one of them. And the odds are Conway won't be that. Because Conway does too much running about. Strikers score loads of goals or more goals because they're in the round the box where it counts, where the goal is, not running left, right and ever. Today, second half, Conway's on the halfway line. There was 4 or 5 Borough players ahead of him. I'm thinking, you're meant to be up front. He never had a shot today. Tell me if I'm wrong. We definitely need someone who shouts the odds and upsets a few players who need a good bollocking. I totally agree. We need to be clear about it. The thing is, society's full of liars. Everybody's scared of upsetting people, ruffling feathers, telling the truth. If you tell the truth, you get sacked, depending on what your job is. We're not very good. Since January, I never fancied us once getting the players. Getting into today, I said to one of my mates, I think it'd be 2-0. It could have been 3-0 at the very end. That's not me. That's not me being negative. I'm being a realist. I'd not seen it since January. The wheels come off with the 2 obvious, Stoke and Latty Laugh, injured and going and moving on. And then we were playing players at position. Bazal was playing the left one week, he was out the next after scoring 3 goals in the bounce. Then the next couple of weeks he was out in the right. And square pegs round holes. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Who's technical director? You shouted would be the cross-dresser, dear me. Well, everybody ticks boxes. That might be the next thing in the scene. Basically, Borough were 2 wins short of a playoff position. Stick with Carrick. Clubs with more budget than Borough. Arthur, are you related to Carrick or something? Hey, I love your backing and support. Borough were 2 wins short of a playoff position. How did Millwall get up there? How did Blackburn Rovers get up there? We played Blackburn Rovers a month ago. We scored a goal after a minute. 2-0 up after 8 minutes with a deflection. Second half, we... Come on. 2-1. Loads of teams. How are we 10th? How have we finished 10th? We were top 6 the majority of the season. And then we were just disintegrated. We blew up in the big games. That tells me the big occasions, big players turn up. If you look at my own career, you look at the big games, I think there was one I faltered in, and that was the Wembley, the Zenith. The other ones, I stepped up to the table, and had balls and steel and character and positive thinking to go and keep us up or get us to a final. Big players turn up for the big occasions. We haven't got any big players. The big players didn't turn up for the last 6 games. The 6 games were billed as 6 cup finals, and none of us stepped up to the plate. Not one of us. Tell us who did. Tell us if I'm wrong, Arthur. You're a lot of positivity and I admire that. But tell us who stepped up to the plate. 6 games, 1 win, and it should have been a draw because it was never a penalty. Conley miskicked the ball, the ref seen a penalty. Never a penalty. That's what I mean. Characters, desire, hunger, belief. No, we've got a team of choir boys, team of nice guys. Team everybody wants to play against. A team with no personality. A team with no characters or leaders. It's never ending. I'm saying the same rhetoric now. Like Carrick in front of the cameras, I'm saying the same stuff on here. It gets boring, it gets repetitive. Wrexham. Birmingham, Wrexham, John Roper. Wrexham, Leicester, Southampton, Ipswich, play-off losers. Play-off winner from League One, no chance next year. Martin Peachy says, hi Burnley, where are you? I mean, call us that. Not enough positive passing. We need a new reform in the team. We did not do enough win the crucial matches we needed to win. Have a great weekend, Martin. Cheers, Martin. That's what it is. 6 games. That was the time. Roll our sleeves up, say, right, come on, this is it. We're still in with a great shout. We've got a couple of teams we really fancy turning over, like a Sheffield Wednesday, but we never did it. I think I'm quitting football for this year. That mess was too much. That's for Jack Clements. Thanks, Bernie. That's for Catherine Hunter Davies. Howson is as quiet as a church mouse, Jonathan Quinn. He's been a great servant, but he's not a leader. He's a leader by example, Jonathan, but he's not a leader vocally. So that's a definite. And when I look around the team, nobody's vocal. I don't think Howson's vocal. I don't think Hackney's, who was captain for Shotby, is vocal. I don't think any of them are vocal. Azaz is a nice footballer, but quiet. Conway likes to have a moan and a groan and dive now and again, but I don't know if that's real leadership qualities. Defensively, don't see any leaders. Steve Davis says, Howson's legs have gone, mate. Excellent ambassador for the club, says that, but gets caught out too many times lately unless he can sit behind 2 youngsters at the back. Yeah, years ago they used to play with a sweeper, 2 centre-halves and 1 behind, and Howson could play there for another 3 years if they had 2 centre-halves, but unfortunately the majority of teams don't play that now. Bernie, what do you think the Borough needs? An overhaul. We need to be realistic in who we're recruiting. We need a background. The recruitment team's meant to look into the background of these players. We brought Ian Ashaw, who's out of condition, out of shape, not played many games, not fit, and was never going to replace Slatty Laugh in 100 years. So the recruitment has to be a lot better. We need pace, no pace. 1 pace team, 1 pace horse. No pace. I've played with guys like Ripley, quick up that right flank. John Henry was quick and tricky. Obviously, Traore was lightning quick. He was a different specimen. Doak was fairly quick and direct. We need more directness. We need to pass the ball better. Some of us couldn't pass the parcel, especially in the big games. I don't know if the nerves got to him, the occasion. I don't know. Mark Scott said the best thing about Borough at the moment is the fan base. We have a stronger fan base than at least 4 of the Premier League teams. They deserve better. Without a doubt, Mark. I heard them through the TV today, still behind the team at the bitter end. Who would you bring in Burnley if Carrick goes? Oh, Jacob, I don't want to be disrespectful to Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick's in there. I'm only surmising and thinking, my gut, I think he'll go. Because he's not made top 6. I'm sure that would be the remit. The goal, the ambition start the season. But he's still in the job, so I don't want to start talking about other guys. But there is guys out there, but I'm not going to get involved in. There is guys out there. Somebody mentioned today, Tony Mowbray, Cooper. And I says, what, Tommy? No, Cooper, it was at Forest and Leicester. The other one's a Neil, ex-Borough player. I get all that, but I don't want to get involved in that because Michael Carrick's still in charge at the minute. Chris Hamilton says, good evening, Bernard. This feels like a big moment of the football club. If we want to move forward, then surely Mr. Carrick has to go. He said 3 years and it hasn't happened. Surely it's time to roll the dice and make a change. If we've got an ambition to move forward, and it was. Yeah, Chris, there's one guy that's super protective of Michael, and that's his prerogative, and I admire that. He's gone against the grain because the majority are saying the other way. Have we improved? Michael Carrick's first year, amazing, off the scale. Recruitment was great. Team was great to watch. Football was amazing. Gills was immense. Most goals created. Akpom, best goal scorer in the league. Great season. Next season, turbulent up and down. This season, we've dipped even deeper than that. We're letting goals in for fun. Poor defensively. One centre forward in Conway that belongs to us is a joke. When you're aiming for playoffs. What if Conway get injured? Who would play up there? Ian Ashall. Oh, we'll play Foz up there. He's a great striker. No, he's not. So there's a lot of daydreamers out there. And I think some of the recruitment team are daydreamers as well. Because some of the guys have brought in have been a joke. I remember under Karanka, Jordan Rhodes came. I could have saved the club £10 million. Karanka never changed his ways. Karanka never played 2 up top. Jordan Rhodes could not play up front on his own because he was a bit like myself. He was small, wasn't great in the air, wasn't a big, bustling, ruffling feather. He wasn't that type of player. I could have saved the club 10 million, but we spent 10 million in him. That was before director of football. I don't know who picked him. If I was Steve Gibson, I would keep Carrick and I would get rid of Kieran Scott and bring in Tony Mowbray as director of football. But the thing about the director of football, right? All directors of football, they have to please the chairman and the chief exec before they please the coach. They want to please the coach, but this guy, Kieran Scott, along with other directors of football, they could have the best eye for talent. But when they go to the top boys, they can say, no, how much? Tell Carrick, we're not getting him. So they block his way. So we could have the best talent spotter and group of talent spotters, but when you go to the chairman chief exec, if they keep blocking the way, then you're not going to progress with top players. Do I believe Carrick has much say in it? No, I don't. Tony says we don't have any big leaders and no game changers. Lots of changes needed. I'm sure there'll be I use the word exodus. Every time I say exodus, I think Bob Marley, exodus. I love my music, and I think it will be an exodus. Loan players will go. Players that set a contract in a year's time, get rid of them. 1 or 2, Belazer. I think he'll go. Dixie, I think he'll go. Fry, Hackney. It's unbelievable. It's going to be a scary summer. I'd say fasten your seatbelts. Do you think he will get leeway because he accepts his best players being sold? Abraham Tanner. Possibly. But in that position, as I say, Michael Carrick signed a new contract. When he signed that contract, has he got the gumption, balls and front to say to Steve Gibson and the chief exec, listen, if we're in the top 6, do not sell, promise me, before I sign my contract, promise me you won't sell a player in January. Give us the best chance possible to get into the playoff position and get arguably promotion. I don't think he's like that. I don't think that's in his makeup. I certainly would. No ifs or buts. Otherwise I wouldn't sign the contract. I say, shove your contract, because if you can't promise me and sign it there, soon as we did that was it. And by the way, if Doak was our player, which he obviously isn't, and he was valued at 20 million, he'd have been sold in January window as well. Bernie's been swatting all season. At least there is no disappointment walking down Wembley Way. We are just not good enough. A shame when fans selling out all the games. Great show. See you next year. See you next year, Gary and Samantha Williams. And no doubt you're travelling back and safe journey back. I never changed tack. Start of the season, I says on here, but the squad we've got, I honestly believed, hand in heart, we would be in the playoffs. But I knew January might be an issue, the window of dread rather than opportunity. And when it came and I seen what happened, I thought, we're not going to make it. And I never changed tack. Some people were kidding with beating Blackburn. Blackburn's no one for X amount of games. We go there, score 2 early goals, turn them over, win. We won the next. And people were going, yeah, that's us, we're going to be top 6. I never believed it. You see, I host the lounge at Riverside. And I says that, and one guy went, you're always criticising, we're going to make it. And I said, okay then, if we make it brilliant, I'll be more than delighted with that. But you know what? I'm not changing my tack. I don't think we will. And we didn't. I don't say it because I don't want us to get there. I say it because I don't think we're good enough. And if you thought we were good enough to make top 6, you're delusional. You're delusional. You're kidding yourself on. We were no better than another 12 teams round about us. We let too many goals in. Strike force became farcical with one centre forward that belonged to us. Right winger, not a natural right winger. Whittaker had a couple of chances a day, a couple of good shots, one average shot. Left wing didn't have a left winger. Terrible recruitment, Tony says. Arthur Bainbridge says, unless the club is sold, it's always going to be a bit of a hit and miss. So it's Carrick we trust. So Arthur's sitting by Carrick. Do you agree or disagree? The club's not going to be sold. Steve Gibson's the sole owner. Who would buy Middlesbrough? I've said this before. Do you think the Sheiks are going to buy Middlesbrough? A town that's on its knees. An airport that's got 2 planes fly out it. They're not going to sell Teesside. We're a town, we're not a city. It's not going to happen. I mean, Rise Sign's got Hartlepool, I know, right? He's got Hartlepool for sale. Who's going to buy? Well, there was meant to be somebody in for it, but I don't know who they are. I know people say Wrexham. Well, Wrexham have done the business brilliantly, but I just can't see it with Middlesbrough. I can't see it. And this has been on for years. Steve Gibson, what he's done for the club has been unbelievably amazing. Running a club on his own, putting money in. When he recruits money and sells players and doesn't spend it, people say, what are you doing? He's a businessman. You can't keep ploughing money into something and get nothing in return. Eventually you have to say, hold on a minute, I need to return some of this money. As I say, I'm not privy to the financial structure of Middlesbrough Football Club. Or Steve Gibson, what he's got, what he's not got. But I know Steve Gibson knows about football. A lot of chairmen out there don't know about football, they only know about money. And pound notes, they don't know about the football clubs. I says on here, end of transfer window, it was the worst on record. Stats don't lie. Before end of the window, we averaged, this is for Paul Green, we averaged 1.47 points, 1.63 goals scored, and 133 goals conceded per game. After the window, we averaged 125 points, not 0.940. Scored, you need to get a social life, you, Paul. Scored 1 goal, conceded per game. All improvement is goals conceded. Down in the main to Travers and Howson. Stats are all well and good, but I didn't look at league table, but have we lost as many as we've won, or have we won over, or somebody try and tell us that. Without Steve Gibson, there would be no club. Losing millions every season, Darren. Without a doubt, those that question Steve Gibson, ambition and drive and backing and support, I don't understand it. Look, Steve Gibson, I agree, if I'm in his shoes, as a businessman selling Latte Laugh, I agree with it. Latte Laugh's only got 1.5 years of scoring goals with Middlesbrough. He's not got a track record for years of scoring goals. I would obviously ask the question, why the rush to sell him? You could have sold him now, season over. Sell him now. We might have made it in the playoffs if we'd have kept him, but we'll never know that. Maybe he's thinking he could get injured. We might lose 20 million. That's a lot of money to lose. You're gambling then. So I get the business side, but it does have an effect on the team, obviously. Carrick's too much of a nice guy. We need someone like Arteta, Pep, who shout and show the passion from the sidelines. Standing there quizzical doesn't motivate this lot. Well, you have to change tack as a coach, but I don't think you can change your personality. You've either got it or you've not. You've either got mind management skills or you've not. You're either a baller, shouter, or you're a quiet guy. I'll be honest, I look at Michael and I think, you couldn't motivate me. If I'm having an off day, I should be able to motivate myself, but there's times you can't for whatever reason, and somebody within that squad, i.e. the coaches, have to motivate you. And I don't think you can motivate me. Not an athlete. I need somebody to shout, give me a boot right up the jack, say, come on, you move. I didn't like it at the time, but it woke me up. It would wake me up to go out and start getting in amongst it. If not for 93 minutes, apparently we would have finished the season with no wins in 6 games. I says that, Badger. I says that. Be interested to see if we keep or sell Josh Coburn to Millwall. Well, as long as Michael Carrick said, I don't believe Josh Coburn will be coming back. I don't think Carrick fancies him. Well, I says that 2 years ago and I was right. He'd been out on loan ever since. Carrick says in a post-match interview he is still the man for the job. Or he says he's still the man. He also said the foundations are there. Will Gibbo. So yeah, so this is what I mean with reading quotes and all that, non-session that. Carrick says, so somebody says on the BBC, which is in bed with the club, says in the BBC local radio that Carrick says that he's getting the backing for Steve Gibson. This guy, Stephen, they might be right, this guy might be wrong. Carrick says in a post-match interview, he is still the man for the job. He also says the foundations are there. But will Gibbo be the same? He asks the question. 5 minutes. So, yeah, so Gibson hasn't. I would be shocked and horrified if Gibson's already said before the game, because Gibson would have met him after the game. He's not that kind of chairman. There is chairman goes into dressing rooms. Like Steve Gibson, I don't think for a minute he would do that. It'd be out of character for him to do that. But a lot of people do in his position. So I don't know where the first guy came on and says Carrick has got the back of Steve Gibson. Well, no, according to that. Latty laugh, Atlanta haven't won in games. Haven't won in 7 games. Well, Daniel, I don't give a flying son about that. Millwall, Bristol, West Brom, Blackburn above Borough. How come? It's not right. So there you are. Badger's putting a bit of reality in. Millwall. How did he even get into that position? Bristol. West Brom. Blackburn Rovers. Astonishing. Carrick the scapegoat for not adequately replacing Danks on the coaching staff. And then he was thrown under the bus by not replacing Latty Laugh in January. Look, I don't disagree with that. But I tell you what, if I was getting thrown under the bus, I would rebel and say, here, square me up financially, I'm off. You wouldn't need to sack me, I'd want to go. If Carrick's going to take it and get whipped into shape, then he deserves all he gets. I can't sympathise with that. And a lot of people do. Hi Bernie, I've been seeing a number of people asking for Carrick's sacking and some demanding for Gibson's head. I don't think either will help, and why lose the best chairman in the league? Steve Gibson's not going anywhere. I think Carrick needs another year, but maybe with some help in the back room. Let's hope for some stability next season. Have a good summer. Cheers, David. That's a level-minded message. So Gibson, nobody's going to replace Steve Gibson. Steve Gibson will be there for a number of years, I'm sure that. Has he got the drive? Yeah, he's still got the drive, I believe. Passion, without a doubt. He's a football man. He gets angry when Borough get beat. He gets angry when he watches bad performances. He's aware of the boos that go round, but it's his position as chairman. He has to do what he thinks right for the football club. It's not a personal attack on a manager, a coach, or a player. It's a professional. Yeah, so let's hope for stability next season. Have a good summer. Tony says, this is how championship clubs have to survive. The money doesn't come down. Gap going to get wider. It is, and wider unless something changes. Yeah, so what Tony's saying is right. The 3 clubs that got now, the golf is so great that although they get a boatload of money, they'll not be able to compete. The odds are the 3's going to come down. It's a trend now. It's developed. Well, the 3 goes up, automatically come down. And the golf's so great you can't catch it up. And unless we change something, it's going to be the same trend for many years to come. 100% right, Bernie. Every time we get a good goal scorer, we sell them for a profit. But where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us where we are. Huffing and puffing and flattering to deceive and we're the nearly team. We nearly get there last year. We nearly get there the year before. We nearly get in the playoffs this time. We're a nearly team. Nearly this, nearly that. Keep our best players to the end of the season, then sell them. If we get in the top, we've got money to go and buy somebody even better. If we don't, then I would have kept Letty Laugh, me personally, but I don't know the implication financially, as I say. But me personally, I would have wanted to keep Letty Laugh and say, Letty Laugh, Letty, you're going into the season. You want away, we want you away, we want to cash in, but try and get us to the promised land, shake hands, get something signed up, and you can go. There's players sign contracts, which you're allowed to do when your contract's running down for other clubs, but they still play the remainder of the season. Building and sand, great analogy. No long-term plan, seem happy finishing 8th, 9th, 10th, etc. Well, Terry, I've said this over the years. We're building in sand. When I seen the recruitment was going for younger lads around Europe, I thought, we're going to build here. But then you sell Rodgers after 6 months, I think, well, where's the building? You're disrupting it right away. I can't believe you get 12 million. He's worth 100 million, that Rodgers. No long-term plan. Seem happy finishing around 8th, 9th, 10th, etc. Yeah, well, Jacob says the club couldn't build Lego blocks at the moment. Robert Smith says a reset is needed, 50-50. It's not Michael Carrick's fault. Well, he's part of it. Because if he's accepting what he's been given, then it's his fault as well. And if he's playing along the back line, which he did, many games throughout this season, bored the pants off me and the crowd. I remember one game we're passing it so boring, we're getting beat 1-0, passing it along the back, the fans were booing. And then when we hit it along, we all cheered sarcastically. Berzog laughing at the end of the game and Michael Carrick doing the same, said, oh, didn't see that. No, I did see Berzog smiling. Wasn't laughing, smiling, because he was talking to the opponent. And whatever he said, he smiled. Well, I think when you don't make it where you're aiming for, I don't think you should smile in front, knowing the cameras could be on you. I think that's a no-no. Or cover your mouth like they do when they're talking, so you don't see if they're smiling or not. But Carrick smiling? Smiling at what? Was it a grimace? Might have been a grimace. I've just heard Steve Gibson has arrived at the Riverside with a loaded gun to give Carrick the bullet. Personally, I hope turns into himself. Wow. Arthur, obviously it's a joke. He doesn't mean seriously, like I say, thrown in the tees and thrown to the lines. It's a joke. If you don't get a joke, shouldn't be watching this. If Alec Ferguson it took Alec Ferguson 6 years to turn Man United around, Carrick needs time. Arthur Bainbridge, I tell you what, you're one hell of a guy and I take my hat off to you. You're going against the grain. Loads of people saying get rid of Carrick, you're sticking by him. Alec Ferguson, you're comparing Michael Carrick with Alec Ferguson. Arthur, there was more time then. There's no time in the modern game. Flicky a switch, you're gone overnight. Warnock gets sacked before kick-off against West Brom. That's a fair point, Tony. You remember Neil Warnock? When he was phoned while he was at West Brom and told no in a certain way. Nobody faced him, they phoned him. I think that's cowardly. And says, you're sacked. Then he went to training ground the next day. That shows you, for me, a guy like Warnock deserves, whether you like him or not, a guy with longevity in the game, success he's had, promotions in every division, and his longevity in the game, over 1,000 games. He deserved more than that. He went to clear his desk and was told that he couldn't get in. Yeah, so Warnock getting told via a phone line by your club that he was getting sacked was, it's just ill-mannered, in my opinion. Manager has to go, Bernie, a full clear out, really. Matt Hodgson. Mark, I'm the same as you. I think there has to be a clear out. I think there'll be an exodus. Players that's on 1 year left, see you later. Players that's on loan, see you later. Players that's not turned it on this season, see you later. Backroom staff, coach, see you later. And the sports scientists, see you later. Because there's too many injuries at training and there's something going on. You're not doing your job. You got to love her, Bernie. Best striker we ever had. No, cheapest. I wasn't the best, but cheapest. Plus, he's a fan just like us all. I'm a fan. I'm sitting in the pub today. I'll tell you who's at the pub. Craig Hinton was meant to come, couldn't turn up. I think he was painting something. His missus had made him paint. I get it. I gave you a watch. I get it. Gary Pallister was there. Archie Stevens, Terry Cochrane, and a group of mates. We're all watching it in the local pub. I don't go to pubs as a rule. Don't drink. I said I drink. They weren't drunk. But we're all Borough fans watching the telly. And venting my spleen and cheering and, oh, that was unlucky. And then we're all peeved off at the end. So we were all there in a group a day and there was 3-4 ex-Borough players there. Because we're still Borough fans, we live in the area. You know, Terry's the Island. Archie's Liverpool, I'm Glasgow. Pal, he's Leeds. So, but we all support Middlesbrough, and we're there today as a group cheering on my team, but to no avail. No height, no pace, poor corners, poor free kicks, no long throw-ins, no wide players, one-dimensional tactics equals failure. It's not rocket science. So Badger is finishing with that. I think I'm finished, am I? I don't want to overshoot the runway as I sometimes do. Let's see the time, sorry. Yeah, I've overshot the runway, I should be finished. So I apologise, thanks to everybody. So I'll read 3 more. Relegation battle to look forward to next season. The chairman bottled it as much as the players did. Blind faith, Jay Shaw. Blind faith, inept coaching team and equally inept recruitment team. The club needs wholesome change for the from the top down. Has Carrick gone? That's Wahid. Know that I know of. And Mark Toogood says one love Bernie. Laugh leaving, one word they meant to say, which is one love. I was getting concerned there. Laugh leaving was a massive factor with the way we played. Pace, technically, massively missed and not replaced well. We know that. Justin Woodgate in the Southern Cross. No, he wasn't. He wouldn't have been Southern Cross, so unless he got a super jet or the people who want Carrick out, who realistically is going to take over. Paul Graham says, if they don't get rid of this coaching staff, it proves the club has absolutely no ambition. And Lee Sharple says, can we get Ben Houchin making some decisions for the club? Dear me, a politician in football. We've got enough politics in football. Steve Daly says, nobody will want to manage this lot at the minute. A new coach will need to know chairman is going to spend mega money to even contemplate coming here. Borough failed by 4 points for Arthur. Borough failed by 4 points. Not a great disaster. Just need find 2 or 3 more wins. But Arthur, there was about 10 teams could say that. Steve Richardson and Gibbo's plan not to get in the Premiership wage bill. See, Mark McDonald says this many, many years ago, and I thought Malcolm was off his head. Malcolm's a educated London boy, very posh, very well spoken Malcolm, great player. And he was on the radio many years ago and he said, Benny, do you know what? I don't think you want promoted. That's what you're on about. I don't think you want the Premiership. And I just dismissed it and thought, you're an idiot. Or you're winding us up. But now I look at that. No, a wee bit more mature now and a wee bit more knowledgeable and thinking, yeah, there might be a reason. The businessman knows the reason, we don't know. There might be a reason why we don't want to. If you go in the top flight, you get a boatload of money, but you need to spend a boatload of money. You need to definitely go out and get decent players and spend big bucks. Otherwise, the fans really will question you. You need to upgrade the stadium. You need to upgrade stewards, police, whatever. The crowds go up. So yeah, maybe there's a lot of clubs that don't want promotion. Next season, the 3 relegated teams will have parachute payments, and Birmingham will have very rich backers, so it's going to be tough. Last one for Steve Daly. You can't polish a turd, Bernie, but Carrick on match days makes the decisions. I can go one more. Karen Pickering says, what do you reckon we'll get for Hackney? I know Porter are in. Well, we don't know Porter are in. That's the word in the street, but the junk that gets mentioned in newspapers, that's why I don't buy them. It's all speculation, hype and bullshit and spin, and sometimes it's the agents that release it. 15 million for Hackney. 15 million. If Stoke's 20 million, Hackney's 15. Hackney's local lad, 15 million for a local lad that costs nothing is great money. I just want to say this before I go. I've got a do coming up on the 30th of October in the Town Hall. It's 40 years in Teesside. All the tables have gone on the floor. It's a big venue, of course. We did move it because people wanted to come, and we thought we had to move it a bigger venue. So if you're interested, it's 7.enterprises@hotmail.co.uk. That's the word 7.enterprises@hotmail.co.uk if you want more info, or you can phone 07368 870 120. There's 24, 25 players, all for different areas. Guys like Baird, Julio Arca, Steve Gibson, Tony Mowbray, Bruce Rare, Hodgson, Downing, Wheater, and many, many more. Too many to see on here. So anyway, thanks for joining us. If you're interested in tickets for that, yeah, in the balcony, there's only balcony tickets left. I just want to plug Mike Peters. I met him on a few occasions, got to know him. I wasn't his pal, but I did know him, and I was in touch in recent months. He tragically passed away. Mike was the lead singer of the band The Alarm. I met him at a game at Old Trafford. I mentioned it earlier. Football's important, but life's number one. And tragically passed away. But he was a great singer, lyricist, and just to charm, and he was an inspirational character. So I'm going to play the interview I did with him in Glasgow, in a coffee shop, and yeah, it's just as a bit of a tribute to Mike and condolences to his family. Thanks for listening. Have a great summer. Thanks for watching this. One more podcast, as I say, with Mike. God rest him, and that's it for the season. Enjoy the summer. Get a tan. Come back refreshed, revitalised, ready for next season. Back on the horse. Let's see who we've roped in, who's gone, and where we're heading. Thanks very much. Cheers.